Hi everyone. A very good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you folks, wherever you're joining us from. We will be starting the session right on time. We do have few minutes for doing introductions here. So I'm just putting down my introduction on the chat here as well. Just a second, I'll share back my screen. Just opening a tab here. Meanwhile, okay, let me also enable the chat quickly for you folks. So you can give your introductions in the chat here. I'm Rasha Khan and I'm your host for today's webinar. And I'm joining from all the way from Bangalore, India. Would love to know where are you joining us from on the chat here. The chat is open now. You can share your introductions there. Interact with folks. We have like a minute before we start the session. So please keep the introductions coming in. Sorry for the background noise.
Actually, you're crystal clear, Rasha. I don't hear anything on my end.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, that's great. Great, let me share back my screen. And yeah, so we are also streaming live on a YouTube channel. And I see a lot of folks have joined us there as well. So welcome everyone there as well. I see a lot of introductions on the chat here. Would also love to know your name as well, in case we're not able to recognize it from the email IDs here. So I see, let me just quickly check. I've seen Kelvin has joined us from Malaysia, Akhil from Cochin, and someone has joined us from Saudi. Would love to know your name. Pakistan, Nimra from Pakistan, Sanjeev from Mumbai, and someone has joined us from America, Malaysia, and South Africa, India, Sudhakar from Bangalore, India, Robert from Namibia, Gurpreet from Mumbai, India. Lot more introductions coming in on the chat here. Let me also quickly introduce you to the program here and the webinar. So we have a free career masterclass lined up for you, a comparison between PRINCE2 versus ITIL versus TOGAF. And we'll be talking about which certification is the best for you and for your career, and also addressing any questions you might have, during the session as well. So we have a special edition for that. I'll share that during the agenda. And this program and webinar is powered by Simplilearn, world's #1 online bootcamp. We have been in the digital skills space for more than a decade now, and we are very proud of transforming lives by empowering people via these digital skills. And the skills we'll be talking about today is the topic we have. We have advanced over 500,000 plus careers, and we are over 150 plus countries. We have 40 plus global accreditations and 800 plus qualified trainers. And also we have quick and easy ground rules here to follow. So these are here just to make sure that you have an amazing experience. So quickly going through them. I see a lot of new folks are joining in. The number is increasing as I'm speaking. We are just getting started. Please don't worry if you have joined right now. And these ground rules here, the first one to start with is you have to put down your questions in the Q&A box in case you have a question. Also, okay. Okay, let me also quickly do a sound check and slide visibility check. Is my voice audible to you? Just reply by saying yes or no on the chat. Also, is the slide visible to you? Yes or no on the chat. Okay, folks. The slide is actually visible because we are also streaming live on a YouTube channel. You can see that. Sometimes what happens is, there are technical issues, that happened, at your end as well. So what you can do is, if you feel like, oh, you're not able to hear me, or you feel like the screen is not visible to you, just rejoin, like leave and rejoin. Sometimes it does happen due to internet and technical issues. Please don't worry about that. We are just getting started. We do have a few more minutes, so please do that. And the session is being recorded in case you want to go through the recording of the session. Once again, in case you miss anything, we will be sending you a follow-up email with the recording link to view. You should receive this within 24 to 48 hours post-webinar. And for attending this webinar, there is a webinar certificate. For that, you will have to stay till the end. So the session is 60 minutes long. And in the end, we will be launching a poll for a webinar certificate. where we will need your full name. So what exactly the certificate looks like. So this is the certificate of participation for the webinar. And this is what I need from you, your full name. So we can personalize and send it to you. And also it will be for the career masterclass, which will be covering on PRINCE2 versus ITIL versus TOGAF. And which certification is best for you. And yeah, you can also share your achievement on LinkedIn with your network and connect with new folks through that. And you can tag us by our Simplilearn handle and also our expert Brian Campbell. Folks are already doing it. They are actually sharing it on LinkedIn, and a lot of folks are supporting them, connecting with them, and they're also sharing insights about the webinars as well if they like something. So yeah, feel free to take screenshots and share it on the network. And how you can find them? You can find them by using the hashtag SimplyGrow. So it already has crossed 100 followers there. We just started this few weeks back, and there are hundreds of posts there in this hashtag. And do basically follow the hashtag and go and check out and connect with like-minded folks there, support them. And yeah, I'll share those details in the chat somewhere during the session, not to basically interrupt the flow of the session right now. Now, talking about the agenda of today's session. So the first and the most important agenda of today's session is about you, getting to know a little bit about you, how we can help you out in your career better. And we will be covering the career masterclass, the comparison between PRINCE2 versus ITIL versus TOGAF, which certification is best for you. And we'll be basically deep diving into all these three certifications and the comparison there. And also based on the interest you share towards in any of the certifications, we'll be taking you through the enrollment steps. In the enrollment steps, I'll be sharing the scan codes of all the programs where you can go and basically save it on your laptop or mobile and basically download the syllabus through that to basically check out more details later if you want to. And last but not the least, the Q&A. So the Q&A is secured towards the end in order to make sure that we are addressing all the questions we are getting from you. And see, folks, we have a little high attendance today. So as you can see from the amazing interaction and introductions on the chat here. So if you put down your question in the chat box, we actually will miss it. So we would love to address your questions. So please divert your questions towards Q&A. I am there on the chat with you to help you out with anything you want. And yeah, let's start the session. But before that, also I would like to introduce you to our expert here, Brian Campbell. So Brian, very good morning to you at your end. It's always a pleasure hosting you. We have a very interesting topic today. We are doing this for the first time.
Yeah.
And
Thanks so much, Rasha. And it's great to see so many people interested in learning a little bit more about this. I'm always fascinated from all the different locations that people are coming in to listen to these talks. Very exciting. So a little bit about myself. As you can see, I am a instructor. I do a lot of work with Simplilearn. I support a number of their different certifications, the project management professional, the program management, the Agile certified professional, and the Agile Scrum Master, ITIL. Also do other ones like Lean Six Sigma and a number of others. So I think this topic where we spend some time on it, I think it's going to be really fascinating because it's one that I actually spend a lot of time on working for different clients and organizations. So the space that I operate in is sort of a consulting domain. So I work with lots of typically very, very large companies, and these large companies are using many of these frameworks and processes. So getting a good handle on which ones are the right fit for your career interests and your skills is actually quite important. So you can see a little bit about the work I do. I tend to, at this point, work for, as I mentioned, large companies, mostly kind of providing coaching and guidance and direction on how to manage their complex, business and technology operations. So that's something I've been doing for a number of years. And as you can see, I'm pretty active too in contributing to different certification bodies like the Project Management Institute and their project management body of knowledge, as well as others in different domains. So I'm pretty familiar with sort of having conversations about what's the best path to take for getting a certification, how will it help my career. So excited to have this conversation today. Like you said, this is kind of a new topic area for us, and be really interested to get some feedback on how people may benefit from this. So So yeah, that's and I guess I should say for where I'm from. I'm actually right now, I'm from Houston, but I'm a little bit of a hurricane refugee. Some of you might have heard there's a big storm, hurricane that hit Houston. I've actually left Houston and I'm in Colorado right now. So avoiding some of the heat, humidity, and some of the other issues, and spending a little time in the beautiful mountains of Colorado.
Thank you so much, Brian, for your introduction. And let's move on towards the first agenda, getting to know a little bit about you. So, along with your amazing introductions, we would also love to know how many years of experience do you currently have? So, usually we see, folks join us from different set of experiences, and that makes the session even more interesting when we see the questions, coming in from them. So, this poll has four options. First one is currently studying. Second one is 0 to 3 years. And the third one is 3 to 5 years. And the fourth one, more than 5 years. So you can select the one which is most suitable to you. And for folks who are watching us on a YouTube channel, you can let us know by putting down your experience on the YouTube chat box. Also, thank you so much for your amazing introductions, folks. Thank you so much. I have also put the ground rules in case you have missed it, because I saw a lot of folks, joined us, a few minutes back. So I've put the ground rules on the chat. Please go through them and let me know if you face any issues. I'm there to help you out on the chat. Let's give 10 more seconds for the poll here. How many years of experience do you currently have? Awesome. Last 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks and our expert Brian here. So 76% of you have more than 5 years of experience. Interesting. A lot of experience folks here. 7% of you have 3 to 5 years of experience. 9% of you have 0 to 3 years of experience. And 7% of you have basically are currently studying, our freshers. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, and few comments on the chat as well. A lot more introductions coming in. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone once again. Now moving on to the career masterclass topic, PRINCE2 versus ITIL versus TOGAF. Which certification is the best for you? So yeah, over to you, Brian.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. So let's start digging into this. I suspect we got a lot of people interested in learning more about what these different acronyms mean. So let's start off with a few definitions. Thanks, Rasha, for moving the slides forward. So just to kind of get our grounding here, a lot of times you're going to hear these acronyms like COBIT and TOGAF and PRINCE2 and ITIL. A lot of times they can be just sort of shared in just that one sort of expression, but they actually have a meaning. Although some of these might be getting a little lost to history now, because a lot of people don't tend to refer to them this in their long form fashion. But COBIT stands for Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. We have TOGAF, which is the Open Group Architecture Framework. PRINCE2, which is Projects in Controlled Environments, version 2, and ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library. So each one of these are very prevalent in typically very large organizations. So think of companies like, the Googles and the Amazons and the Microsofts. Leverage a lot of these frameworks and concepts, but so too do other very, very large organizations. These are really important frameworks to help manage the complexity of their business and technology operations. So let's take a little closer look at each of these, Rasha, if we want to move to the next slide. So now we've got our definitions. So one helpful way to think about this is think of this as sort of different domain areas. So the first is we've got this idea of direction. What direction, what strategy does an organization want to leverage? So these are the questions that often emerge when senior executives are giving some thought to what paths do we see the market taking? Where do we see some opportunities? Where do we maybe see some headwinds that are we're struggling with some of our products? So when we think of that space, we really want to give some thought to what's our overall strategy, what's our governance, what are the principles that we want to operate under. And this is a place where COBIT has a lot of strength. COBIT provides much of that process framework, that strategy on what direction the organization wants to take. Now, once we have that strategy in place, we then need to think a bit about, well, how do we affect change? What are the things we need to do to make adjustments or introduce new technologies, new business processes, new products, so we can take advantage of that direction and that strategy? And this is where we see frameworks like TOGAF, the architecture framework, and PRINCE2, which has a little bit more focus on project management, coming together, because they're going to help teams and organizations and areas understand what's the best way to implement some of these changes to support that strategy and direction. And finally, we have operation or operate. And this is the point where we've finished perhaps implementing a large project or program. Maybe we've instituted some governance architecture that we've introduced. Now we have to manage it and maintain it and operate it. And this is where ITIL has a lot of strength. So this is kind of a helpful way to get a sense of where do each one of these frameworks kind of fit in. And as you can see too, there's a little bit of overlap, right? We see COBIT can provide direction on how to manage change and even support operations. ITIL also recognizes that it has to have some strategy and there's some implementation work required to effectively support and operate in our different technology and business domains. So there's a little bit of overlap that kind of emerges as we look at these different frameworks and processes together. All right, well, let's dig into the next slide. And we'll start unpacking these a little bit more. So this visual helps us recognize, so where does everything sort of fit together? So as I mentioned, we've got COBIT. COBIT's on sort of the left-hand side, and it's going to provide that strategy, that governance structure. Okay, so it's not getting too deep into the weeds on how to do the work. It's going to provide some principles, some guidance, some guardrails. But when we look at TOGAF sort of right in the center there, TOGAF is the place where we're going to really instantiate a lot of our architecture standards, things that we recognize are going to be really important for maintaining our organization. And think of this in the same way of we've got a new emergent, perhaps technology, something like AI, machine learning. A couple years ago, this probably wasn't really part of our day-to-day conversations, but now you can't kind of avoid talking about AI, machine learning, even when you're hanging out with your family members or friends, or just even going to the grocery store. People are having these discussions. So TOGAF gives some thought to, okay, we've got an emerging technology. How does this fit into our overall organizational architecture? Okay, what's going to be, how do we want to bring this technology into the organization? You might already be working with companies that are using tools like Microsoft Copilot. I know I'm working in a very large do-it-yourself home renovation supply company. Very, very large. This organization's got over 500,000 people working in it, and they're really trying to understand, so how does a product like Microsoft Copilot help us become more effective, more efficient in the work that we're doing? So TOGAF is a really effective framework to kind of help understand where can new emergent technology enable and support our business outcomes, and how do they fit in with the existing technologies we have. Now, on the top right-hand side, you see we've got project management. That's the PRINCE2 domain, where it's got lots of good guidance on how to effectively manage projects, manage their budgets, manage their scope, manage their schedules, manage risk, all the things that come into classically managing projects. So that's the place where you might have, hey, we've got this exciting new, AI, ML technology. Let's create a project so we can effectively implement that in the organization. And then we've got ITIL. And ITIL is sort of the way in which we can take the principles that TOGAF is representing. Here's our standards that we've aligned on. Here's the direction we're taking with certain technology sets. And ITIL talks a little bit more specifically on how do we support that? Who's going to pick up the phone when we get a call to our help desk? How do people request services like I need a new laptop, or I need help resetting a password, or I need access to a system? So ITIL spends a little bit more time in that space explaining and providing details on how to do that. Okay, so hopefully that gives us a little context on how the frameworks interact. We've got some terminology we're comfortable with. So why don't we move to the next slide, Rasha? Okay, so now we can kind of dig a bit deeper into focus areas for each of these areas. And this might help you a little bit if you're kind of attending today's session to really get a sense of, hey, where do I want to focus? What's going to help my career, the direction I want to take? So if you're interested a little bit more in project management, if that's an area that you get a lot of fulfillment from and you really kind of enjoy, then PRINCE2 is going to be a strong fit for that career direction. So PRINCE2 is much like the Project Management Institute's Project Management Professional Standard. PRINCE2 provides directions, guidelines, guardrails on how to effectively manage your projects. And this does include all the classic questions that you get asked as a project manager. How much will this cost? When will it be done? What's going to be included? So PRINCE2 is a really good place if that's an area that you're quite interested in pursuing. And there's some good certification levels. PRINCE2 has two sort of layers. Foundation, not surprisingly, is sort of the starting point. It's going to put the foundation in place so you can continue to progress your project management career. And then we've got the next level, practitioner. Now, let's say that you're working a little bit more within an IT organization or department, and ITIL is probably going to be a place that's going to be a stronger fit for you, particularly in the area of service management, IT service management. So one thing ITIL tends to think about, it tends to think of a collection of services that are being offered to parts of the organization and users. So the whole idea here is, as an organization, you give some thought to what are the services we want our IT organization to provide. And the reason that becomes important is, technology has lots of different flavors and types. So we want to make sure that our IT services are kind of really focused on the things that are important to enabling our organization. So as an example, you might decide, hey, for our organization, we are going to support mobile devices. And the ones that we've chosen are perhaps Apple-based products, or they could be Android, or it could be maybe both. And we want to be thoughtful about which of those products we can provide IT services towards. What are our service level agreements when a user is having a problem or a challenge? How long will it take for us to respond to that user? How long will it take us to resolve that issue or problem that person's experiencing? So ITIL kind of really operates in that IT service management space. So it's thinking a lot about, how do we make sure our IT products, our technology products are available so they're not, going down and people having a hard time accessing the services they need, making sure they've got a good line of sight into what the services are that the organization requires. So these are things like, hey, we have a payroll service. It's really important to make sure that we get everyone paid on time, because when we don't do that, people get frustrated and maybe they don't want to work for a company anymore. So IT would recognize that as a service, and we'd want to make sure we have the right service levels to support that service we provide to our business constituents. And then finally, we have TOGAF. And TOGAF, as we talked a little bit about, is that broader enterprise architecture. So how do we answer questions about emergent technologies? Where does artificial intelligence, machine learning fit in? And how are we going to get the most impact and benefit from moving forward with some of those technologies? So that's going to require a good understanding of the business strategy and direction. Remember, we talked about COBIT. COBIT and TOGAF work really effectively together. So we want to make sure we've got a clear understanding of what goals and outcomes the organization wants to achieve. And then TOGAF is going to tell us how we're going to organize our technologies so we can enable that. And you can see that there's a foundation level for TOGAF, and then there's a certified level for TOGAF. So that's a little bit about the focus area and certification level. Let's dig in a little bit more. Rasha? Okay, so here we got a bit more context on the different focus areas, the certification levels, and the different types of ways in which we can get those certifications. So a really important way in which many of us learn is through, of course, training sessions, a little bit like this. And it really does help to have someone who's providing you kind of some live information, instructor-led, that you can ask questions around and hear a little bit more about maybe real-world experiences so you can apply these ideas effectively. So looking for those instructor-led sessions is actually really important because it's going to help really enhance your learning experience. Now, notice we've got this term, a PDU. That's another acronym for Professional Development Unit. And that's actually a term used by the Project Management Institute. So if you already
Oh, I think Brian's video is stuck. Is it only me, or like, are you not able to hear Brian? Please let me know by replying yes or no. Oh, okay. Might be a technical issue. Let's wait for a minute or so. Yeah, it's okay, folks. It's okay. It happens. So, meanwhile, let's utilize this time to put on any questions you might have in the Q&A box. Yes. Yes. I think there is an issue at his end. I think he will just join in a minute or so. These technical issues happens, right? It happens. So don't worry about that. Meanwhile, just to let you know that we already have started getting some questions in the Q&A box, which are very interesting. And we will definitely answer your questions whenever the speaker gets time. So this is a really good time to go and put on your questions. Let's utilize this time and put on your questions in the Q&A box. So we have a moment here. Meanwhile, once until he gets back. Okay, awesome. I think a lot of new questions coming in the Q&A box. Great utilization of the time here. Oh, I think Brian is back. Hey, Brian.
Sorry.
Hi.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think we just had a little glitch there. So I'm not sure when you lost me. Was I
No
just
way. No ways. I think it was just 2 minutes back. Not
okay?
more than that.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes that does happen. My
It's
apologies.
okay.
Well,
I told the audience to utilize the time and put on questions, and they started putting on questions in the Q&A box.
oh, okay. Great. Well, we'll take a look at those as soon as we wrap up the next slide or two. So what I was really trying to highlight here, if I didn't get a chance to cover it, was this idea of these PDUs. That stands for Project Development Unit. And that really reflects something that the Project Management Institute uses. If you get one of their certifications, they're going to expect you to get 60 of these PDUs a year, or every 3 years. So you can see right off the bat, if you get the PRINCE2 certification, you get quite a few of these, and that would be helpful to maintain your other certifications. And ITIL similarly has a lot. Now there are some exam fees, and these can change a little bit. So it's probably good to go to the different sites that support the exams and see what their costs are. We've got different content access. Part of this is lifetime access to their recorded content and content provided through PeopleCert, which is a certification body that supports ITIL. And really some of their focus areas. So you see there's a lot of emphasis on scope change management in PRINCE2. That's a big impact on most projects, right? If you think about, if you've got a budget and you've got a timeline, a schedule, scope changes are the things that generally affect those. So there's a lot of emphasis in PRINCE2 on managing scope. ITIL is all about what's called configuration items, CIs. These are all the little different pieces that make up a large enterprise technology platform. So think of everything from PCs and laptops and tablets and phones, all the way up to servers and even our web-based products and service offerings that we have. So managing all those changes to configuration items. So if there is some kind of service impact, your IT organization knows where to go to get information on how to resolve that issue. And then TOGAF is all about aligning our business goals with that IT infrastructure. I mentioned COBIT earlier. Okay, this is all about strategy and planning, and how do we ensure that we're investing in the right technologies to enable those business outcomes. So what we can probably do here, Rasha, why don't we move into the next slide? Yeah, so often a question that most people ask are, oh, okay, I'm interested in taking one of these exams. I'd like to learn a little bit more about each of these different exams. So what's in each of them? So for each of them, you'll see that they have sort of a standard format. When we see things like the PRINCE2, it's got 60 questions. They're multiple choice questions, and you've got an hour to complete the exam. So you got about a minute a question. You need a 55%, pass rates, 33 correct answers out of 60, and it's closed book. So you don't get any opportunity to kind of look at material or training or anything like that. So PRINCE2 is sort of, generally speaking, I think a pretty accessible exam. When I teach the PMP certification, it's a 4-hour exam. For a lot of people, they haven't taken the time to kind of write an exam of that duration in a number of years, maybe since they finished college. So it takes a little bit more practice, kind of like preparing to run a marathon or a 10K. You've got to work up to it and get ready for it. But I think both PRINCE2 and ITIL and TOGAF are all very accessible. These are all exams that I don't think many people will struggle much with, because it's not an overwhelming number of questions they're asking. So you can see in ITIL, very similarly, 40 multiple choice questions. Okay, you've got 60 minutes again to take that, maybe a little extra time if you're taking the exam in a language other than your native language. And then for ITIL, we have a 65% pass rate, so a little higher expectations on this relative to PRINCE2. It too is closed book. And then finally, we have TOGAF and its foundation level 1 certification exam, 40 multiple choice questions. Again, you have an hour, passing score is 55%, and it's closed book as well. So it gives you a little bit of context. So it's not just taking the training. The training is going to be really helpful to kind of give you a solid understanding of each one of these areas. But if you want to get the certification, there will be that need to successfully pass an exam. All right, Raj, let's take a look at maybe who would be good candidates for taking these. Oh, sorry, yeah, and I guess maybe a quick check-in on the skills that each of these cover. When we think of PRINCE2 and its focus on projects, well, a lot of it is around the methodology, processes, and principles around guiding projects and tailoring those. Every organization is a little bit different. Every project is going to be different. So we want to make sure we've got different ways in which we can manage those types of deliveries, and making sure that we've got everyone sort of aligned on how we're going to deliver our projects. So again, we've got change management, conflict management. Those are topics that we're going to really make sure we spend some time on. Risk analysis. Risks are the things that impact our projects, and some best practices. What are effective best practices we can leverage to deliver projects? ITIL is going to have a bit more emphasis on that service level management that we mentioned earlier, thinking about different services we support as an IT organization. What's our customer experience, and how do we find ways to kind of improve that? So think of, when I'm dialing into that help desk, I'm put on hold for 20 minutes. I find that really frustrating. Well, in ITIL, we want to think about what is the customer's experience interacting with our IT service and support. So heavy emphasis on how do we improve our efficiency, and that's going to be applied through 15 different best practice areas that ITIL has identified. And then for TOGAF, again, it's all around sort of this architecture space. Things that you're going to hear a lot of emphasis around is security and risk exposure to our IT enterprise assets. So organizations now are very aware how valuable their data is, and also the responsibilities they bear in protecting certainly personally identifiable information that customers are entering into systems. So there's a lot of interest in making sure that's very well protected. So TOGAF has a heavy emphasis on that space, and it's complemented with a lot of best practices for large-scale, complex enterprise architectures. Okay, well, let's move on to the next slide, Rasha. All right, so different career paths that we can take. You can see if you're in ITIL, we're going to dig into those a little bit too, and kind of give you a sense of, depending on your role, what might be the best fit for you, which of these certifications. Not surprisingly, if you're a project interested in the project domain, you're a project manager, a project coordinator, a program manager, then PRINCE2 is probably going to be a good path. If you're in the IT space, you are an IT manager, a service delivery manager, even an IT project manager working on projects that are related to the IT space, you're probably going to find ITIL a pretty strong fit. And then similarly for TOGAF, if you're an enterprise architect, if you're really interested in sort of defining the sort of standards that the organization will leverage and support across the business domains that it provides, then you'll probably get a lot from the TOGAF space. And I know we've got some salaries here that I suspect you dug up a little. Rasha, did you want to chat real quick about that?
Sure. Yeah. So the salary structures here, as you can see, the average salary we have gotten this source from Glassdoor starts from 46K to 121 approximately dollars. And for an ITL, it's basically starts from $94K to goes up till $159K. Again, this is a source from Simplilearn itself. And here for the GAF, we have $99K in the US, 45K euro in the UK, and 8 million Japanese this is again a source from Basecamp. Again, like these are just approximate numbers just to give you an idea of what are the average salaries for these. Again, like it can be more than this also in the markets, yeah, depending on the market.
Excellent, yeah. And to see every industry pretty well is going to have a need for these types of skill sets. And it really comes down to a question of what career direction do you want to pursue? So hopefully this gives you a little bit of guidance here. I think our next slide gives us a bit more information on the different types of roles that might find one of these certifications a stronger fit. Let me take a look at that. There we go. Yeah, so we can see that, if you are currently a project manager, project coordinator, a team manager, leader, you might find the PRINCE2 certifications a really good fit for that type of work. If you are already in the enterprise architecture space, you're an IT architecture, you're a solution architect, which might have a little bit more of a specific focus on a technology stack within an organization. If you're a business architect, really kind of aligning business priorities to technology directions, or if you're maybe a CIO, an IT director, TOGAF is probably going to provide a lot of value to you. And then on the ITIL side, if you're managing a help desk, a service desk, if you're a service manager, IT operations manager, even an IT project manager, ITIL is probably going to be the strongest fit for you. All right, and I think we're getting okay. So I think now we get a chance to think about, hey, how would we get these certifications? So I guess we got a couple options from Simplilearn. Did you want to chat real quick about these, Rasha?
Sure. What I'll do is I will also share the program pages, as well. So let me just quickly start sharing the program pages as well for these courses to give you an overview where you can also download the syllabus later as well. So let me just quickly do that. So as we can see for the PRINCE2 foundation exam, foundation practitioner, let me just quickly open Simplilearn. That is where you can find all the courses here. But let me just quickly open the PRINCE2 one. I'll just quickly search for the PRINCE2 one and open this one. And as we can see, we have the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner here. This is 7th edition certification. And we can see the course key features here, which we have covered already, and the skills which are covered. And also, we can see the details here of the program as well. This is where you can go and download the syllabus as well. We have course advisors like Tim Jerome and also Jeff Allen, who is a project management and agile expert, consultant and author as well, along with Tim Jerome, who's a project management expert and evangelist. Again, like these course advisors make sure that Simplilearn is delivering as per standards. of the program here. And then we have a lot of course reviews as well. This is by Aarti here. Aarti says the information provided was highly valuable and beneficial, and the instructor incorporated numerous live real-life examples throughout the session. And it was greatly enhancing and our comprehension and learning process. His enthusiastic approach to the professors made the learning and the training sessions engaging and enjoyable, and she really greatly appreciates it. And then we have many more such alumni stories here. Similarly, going for another program now, I'll just quickly open and show that to you as well. Going for the TOGAF one, so I'll just open the TOGAF program quickly. Yes, I will be sharing the cost of this course as well. Just allow me some time. I'll be sharing that as well, and the upcoming cohorts as well. So this is the TOGAF Enterprise Architecture Training course, and we can also check out the details here, all the things which we have already covered, and also the TOGAF certification, the prerequisites here of the program, and also we have course advisors for TOGAF as well. Where you can see John Ghostly, who's an IT consultant and enterprise expert. We have Professor Ahmed here, who is a lead instructor and has over 25 years of expertise in consulting. And similarly, we have all these details here of the program, and again, like alumni reviews here quickly. So I'll share these scan codes and download links of the program here with you, and also talking about the ITIL. So let me just also quickly show you the ITIL program details. Yeah, this is the one, the ITIL 4 Foundation 1 certification exam. And yeah, we have already covered the key features and the skills here of the program. And again, like just to give you an overview, all these 3 programs come with all of these training options. For individually for you, you can take up the online bootcamp one, and then there is another self-paced learning option as well. Online bootcamp will have basically along with your peers, and you can get to interact with the instructor as well. Self-paced learning will have basically pre-recorded videos here. So and again, like there is a corporate training option as well in case you want to basically do it for your company, folks, or a group of folks in your company. So you can also basically request those details as well. I'll share the scan codes. You can basically go and check out the syllabus here similarly. And then we have ITIL course advisor here as well, Pipin Dashmukh, who's a training consultant with over 35 years of experience in IT industry involving full life cycle software development. Again, like just to summarize quickly, there are training reviews for ITIL as well. Let me just quickly take you through one of them here. And let me just Parth Purohit here shares that he began his career with Infosys in March 2013 and quickly realized his strengths in stakeholder management and ITIL-based project handling. Despite working in this field since 2016, he only pursued ITIL certification in 2019. And this decision clarified his doubts and led to a new job with a significant salary hike. Again, like there are hundreds more. You can go and check out in this, basically program pages here. I'll share those links shortly. But with this, we would like to conclude and would like to understand. First of all, are you interested in enrolling in any of these courses? The next slide will have the selection of the courses. So first you can share your interest as yes. And the process which will be followed here is once you share your interest as yes, and basically also tell us which course are you interested in exploring and enrolling for. The learning consultants from Simplilearn, they will reach out to you and help you enroll into the program. How exactly it happens, I'll share in the enrollment steps, the program fee, and the upcoming cohorts. We do have weekend and weekly classes. And also for the program fee part, in case you're not able to pay the program fee altogether, we do have installment options as well for the regions. So I'll share those details with you. But before that, we would love to know, are you interested in enrolling into any of these programs? So I'm just launching a quick poll here on Zoom, which is live. And you can let us know by responding yes on the poll. And after this, we will move on to the poll where you can choose the program which you're interested in enrolling for. Awesome, you folks are pretty quick here. A lot of yeses on the chat here, by the way. Great, folks. Good to see the interest and questions about the fee here, right? I'll share that. Just let's wait for a few minutes. Let's give 10-15 seconds for this poll here before we move on to the selection of the program. So selection of the program will definitely help us with understanding which program are you interested in. And this will help the learning consultants, be able to guide you about that program, any questions you might have about that as well. I see basically the selection already started, has come in on the chat here. That's great. Also, I see folks who have joined us on our YouTube channel. You can also share your interest by going to the link which is on the top of the live chat and go to the program page and share your few basic details for the interest. Okay. I see you folks have already started responding your selection. And if you're watching us later on YouTube channel, you can go to the description as well of this YouTube video and click on the links which are there on the chat, on the description, and share your interest similarly. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. So are you interested in enrolling in any of these programs, PRINCE2, ITIL, TOGAF, programs which you're talking about and we have covered? And I will basically be asking you which of the programs. Thank you for actively sharing the programs as well on the chat. I appreciate your enthusiasm here. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much. A lot of interest here. So let's move on to the next poll, which says, which course are you interested in enrolling? So I'm just launching this poll, and you can let us know which course are you interested in enrolling. So I've launched this poll here, and you can select one option which you feel like, okay, this is the one I want to take forward. This is the one I want to explore more. This is the one I need help from learning consultants from Simplilearn. We'll take you through the program. Any questions you might have as well, address them as well. So quickly go and basically select the program which you're interested in enrolling for. A lot of you folks have already shared interest. So please make sure to also, share your interest here as well. Which program are you interested in? So yeah, let's give it 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. Because I see more, you folks are pretty quick. You folks have already responded, most of you. But let's give others also a time to think about it and respond. So let's give 10, 15 seconds for the poll here. Okay, we do have questions here. We do have great questions here. And for folks who are putting down questions on the chat, because of the high attendance and chat volume, we actually might miss your questions. So please make sure whatever questions you have, please move it to the Q&A box, because Brian, will be looking into the questions pretty soon once we, move towards the Q&A. That's a great question. Can I do PRINCE2 and ITIL simultaneously? Nice. Please move that to the Q&A. Awesome, folks. The poll is still moving, so I'm just extending the time by 10 more seconds. So are you interested in enrolling in any of these programs you can choose from? So the first program is the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner 7th edition certification. Second one is ITIL 4 certification training course. And the third one is TOGAF Enterprise Architecture training course. All the courses are getting pretty much traction here in interest. So that is an interesting observation here. So last 5 seconds for the poll here, folks. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your responses and your interest. Now let me quickly take you through the enrollment steps of the program. So quickly starting. So there are three simple, easy steps you'll have to follow for enrollment. So these are the steps which the learning consultants will help you with. So I'm just giving you an overview of what's going to happen next, so you're aware of it. So the step one here is you'll have to submit an application to us at askus@simplilearn.net. Step two will be your application will be going for review. We will evaluate your qualifications based on the prerequisites and eligibility criteria for each of the programs, whichever you have applied for. And step three will be our admissions offer letter will be sent to you from learning consultants from Simplilearn based on these initial two steps are completed. Now moving on to the program fee. So I'm just basically sharing the scan codes here. So which of the programs you have interested and you've shared your interest, we can just scan these codes and it will take you to the program landing pages which I've shown you. I'll just give maybe a minute for you to scan these. Either you can take a screenshot of this slide and save it for your reference later. So this basically slide is very helpful for you to be able to go and download the syllabus. Go and have a look at it. Ask any questions you might have about the program to the learning consultants from Simplilearn. So, yep. And even after this webinar, if you need any assistance, I'll share an email ID for you on the chat, which you can take a note of it and, share your any queries you have post-webinar there as well about these programs or any other programs we have at Simplilearn. So, quickly sharing that email ID on the chat as well. So we would love to support you, throughout all the way while you are trying to basically, enroll into the program here. So any questions you might have. So the email ID is askus@simplilearn.net. I'm just putting that on the chat here for you. And yes, last 5 seconds for this slide. Hopefully you have been able to, scan these slides. Let me just also quickly show you basically the fee here. So before we move on to the Q&A, so the program pages are open. So let me just show you the fee here. So for the online bootcamp for PRINCE2, the fee here is 60,350 INR rupees. And the classes are starting for the weekend one is starting on 3rd August, and the another weekend class is starting on the 7th of September. You can basically check out all the schedules here from the scan codes which I've shared. If you want to check out for, let's say, like for US region, so I will just quickly show you that as well. So for the US region, the fee here is 2,460 USD dollars. And similarly for ITIL, the fee here is for online bootcamp is 31,250. You can see there is a 40% off here, INR rupees for Indian candidates. And for US, I'm just showing, I'm aware that you folks have joined from different countries here, but I'm trying to show you as much as possible for the basically countries here. So for US candidates, the fee here is $799. You can see there is a 41% off going on here. And for TOGAF, the fee here is, let's see, 33,000 INR rupees for Indian candidates. There's a 20% off going on here. And let's quickly check for US candidates as well. So the fee here is $999 here. Again, like there are multiple formats, as I mentioned earlier: self-paced learning, online bootcamp, corporate training. You can nudge that to the learning consultants and let them know, like which one are you interested in as well. So I hope that helps. Let me share the link towards the program in the end. Now quickly moving on to the Q&A. So over to you, Brian. I think I've already answered a lot of questions, Brian. So
Yeah, I've been busily kind of trying to read and respond. Lots of great questions. There's a few that I haven't had a chance to get around to. Maybe I can just talk to a little bit. But the general gist, I think most folks that are attending are sort of interested in saying, hey, I'm doing a particular kind of role, maybe in IT, but I'm getting a bit more exposure to project management, but I'm also interested in space architecture. Which of these certifications would be the best fit? And at some point, that's a question you probably have to answer yourself. What direction do you want to take your career? But if you are currently in an IT, support operations role, you'll probably find the ITIL certifications really strong for the work that you're doing. You might find TOGAF really valuable too, because it talks a bit more about how do those different IT tools and products fit into a broader architecture. If you're a little bit more interested in thinking about, hey, how do I bring new technologies and processes into an organization, then you'll probably get a lot from the PRINCE2, the project management oriented certification. So those are, a lot of the types of questions that we're seeing. If you did post a question in Q&A, hopefully you saw the answer and get a few more questions about that. Feel free to post them. I see Raj has asked a question about tools. And you're right, we haven't really spent much time on the actual tools that are used in these different areas. He brings up Jira, which is used a lot in more agile-oriented project delivery settings. How does PRINCE2 and ITIL use different tools? Well, if you're doing project management, you're probably still going to be exposed to Jira. Jira is used a lot across many organizations and also used in project management delivery. So you would still leverage Jira. You'd also use products like let's see, PlanView and Microsoft Project. Those are also more oriented around project management practices. So you might see those tools being used. If you think of ITIL, this is where we're going to have things like our service management tools. Think of ServiceNow and Remedy and other products that are in the market that allow people to submit requests to get access to systems or report a problem they're experiencing. So there's definitely different tools using these different domains and spaces. Let's see. We've got Looks like a Winder asking, I already have an ITIL foundation. I'm working as a workforce manager in an IT company. What should be my next approach as far as certifications are concerned? So great. Congratulations. Glad to hear you've got your ITIL foundation. So it sounds like that's a good fit, particularly in the IT space. So now I think there's two paths you could consider. One is you could say, hey, I really want to strengthen my understanding of the broader architecture that these technologies are based on and what direction that's going. Or you could say, hey, I'm a little more interested in kind of getting into the project management, the delivery part of implementing some new tools or enhancing existing tools, maybe in your workforce manager space. So you've got to maybe give it a little thought to which of those paths you want to take. It doesn't mean they're exclusive, which means essentially you can get your TOGAF certification and then later get your PRINCE2 certification or both, either. So you've got a couple choices to make, but either would be a really strong fit for that ITIL foundation you already have. Let's see. What is the difference in terms of metrics? Oh gosh, that's getting a little deep in the water here. What are some of the differences? Well, when we think of our project management space, what are we interested in? We want to understand, how are we tracking to a budget? How are we tracking to our schedule? What about our scope management? What scope changes are we seeing? So get a little bit more emphasis there. When we're thinking a bit more about our process architecture management, we're thinking about compliance. How many of our existing products comply with our standards that we've introduced? And if we've got exceptions to that, we want to really understand why those exceptions occurred and make sure that there's still the right decisions to make. If not, what can we do to bring these tools and processes back into place? I see, what's the differences between SOA, a service-oriented architecture, and TOGAF? Well, TOGAF is really going to explain when to use a service-oriented architecture. So TOGAF kind of provides the direction, and the SOA is how we implement that. How do we achieve that? Other than that, let's see if I've got any more other questions. Okay, Donkey saying, I've taken almost all those trainings, need my key PM and architecture staff to have all knowledge to extract developers. Okay, and he's also bringing up the CMM5 framework, capability maturity model, closed loop process management, standard metrics. Yeah, those are excellent topics. And I think the sense I'm hearing from this question is maybe you're a leader, you're a manager who's got a team of staff. And from my experience, having done the same thing in my career, making sure you've got a common foundation of education and training is really important, because that helps with the communication and just ensuring everyone's sort of using the same language. So I think that's a great place you might want to give a little thought to is, hey, let's get everyone certified in TOGAF, because it's a really strong framework for some of this architecture that we are defining. And then you can layer in CMM5 and other frameworks on top of that. Do you have, I think it says, does having a PMP or PRINCE2, is that enough, or they complement? My honest opinion would be I'd pick one or the other. I don't think there's a lot of additional value having both. I think you might find PRINCE2 sort of a little bit more accessible. The first foundation level certification is, oriented around people that just are kind of learning the foundation here. The PMP, much more comprehensive, much bigger investment in your learning, a little bit more time required. But the payoff is you get a very globally recognized certification that covers a fair amount of the overall project management methodologies you'll be using. See, we got lots and lots of questions here. I'm trying to kind of just quickly fly through these, see if there's any that come up. A couple questions about pricing. So did you want to maybe spend a moment on that, Rasha?
Sure. So can you repeat the question about?
Oh, a lot of questions about pricing. Where can they go to find more information on how much it costs?
So for that, what I can do is I can share the scan codes once again. We can.
Okay.
So if you're done with the Q&A, I can do that quickly.
Yeah, I think we've covered. I know we're getting a little tight for time here. Great questions. I'll see if I can respond to a few more while Rasha's closing us out. But thanks everyone for taking the time to ask all these great questions.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. Moving on towards the end, we do have a webinar certificate poll. Please wait for that. Would like to quickly thank Brian here for for taking us through the very interesting topic. And actually, we got really good questions here. And because a lot of experienced folks joined us, so that made the session even more interesting. Would you like to say something to them before we move towards the end of the session?
Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you, everyone, for just like I said, being so engaged and asking some great questions. Also, I think as you mentioned, Rasha, this is sort of our first one of these types of sessions where we're talking about which are the right certifications for your career paths. I did see some folks say, "Hey, I'm also interested in learning a little bit more about Prince2 or PMP." So, if you've got a few of those ideas, other topics, maybe you're interested in learning more about. I know Rasha and Simplilearn would love to get that feedback. So, and I think Rasha, you already shared, hey, let's leverage LinkedIn. It's a great sort of business-oriented social media product. So, yeah, share your experiences, tell people what you've learned today, and that's great for us to understand, so we can, develop more of these sessions in the future.
Yes, totally agree with that. Thank you so much, Brian. Once again, thank you for an amazing session. Now, moving on towards the end of the session, I'll share the scan codes. Just give me a little time, but before that, we would also love to know your, how was the session for you? You can rate us quickly. So I'm just launching a poll where you can rate us out of 5. 5 being the highest. If you had a really good experience, you felt like you learned something new, you got to know about these certifications, so you can rate us 5 there as well. And after this webinar, there will be a post-webinar survey poll, basically question as well. It will have only one question: what can we do to make our webinars better? So usually a lot of folks, end up, suggesting a lot of topic ideas to us, what they would want us to see covered. And actually we take a lot of inspiration from there. So we actually pay attention to what you say and any feedback you might have. So please do, do that as well. Quickly, just giving 10 more seconds for this poll. So how satisfied are you with the content of the session? I'll share the scan code of the program links. Please don't worry after this. Let me see if I can share the links in the chat as well. A lot of times it doesn't work. That is why I'm not sharing the links on the chat, if you understand. Awesome. Thank you so much. Last 5 seconds for the poll. How satisfied are you with the content of the session? You can rate us out of 5. 5 being the highest. If you had a really good experience, if you learned something new about these certificates, if you had a great session, along with us. We do a lot of these sessions, and we keep coming up with these interesting topics. What I'll do is I will also share the early access to the upcoming webinars and with you, and on the chat you can basically check out this link and register for the webinars and the categories if you're still exploring, if you want to check out other categories of webinars as well. So we do have really good sessions lined up. Interest in generative AI, we have a fireside chat as well. Please do check out these links which I've shared on the chat. Awesome. Let me just quickly end this poll. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the rating, and yeah, moving on to the certificate poll here. So launching the certificate poll, to receive a proof of attendance now, you will have to basically enter your full name in this poll. So you can just quickly enter your full name on the poll, which is launched right now on Zoom. And yeah, let's give it some time. Meanwhile, let me just quickly go back and try to share the program pages links with you as well. Let's see, if we can quickly just. This is the Prince2 one, and this one is the ITIL one, which I'm sharing next, and the third one, the TOGAF one. Share on the chat. I'll go to the scan page code as well. So scan code here. I'm just keeping it live in case you've already done with your webinar certificate poll. If you just want to scan these codes of these certifications, it will take you to the program landing page, the ones which I have shared with you. That is where you can find the fee for your own region, the upcoming classes for your region as well. And oh, the poll is live. Folks who are talking about the poll is still live. I have not ended the poll, folks. I am just sharing the scan code of these programs. So the poll is still live for the certificate, full name, and you can still enter your full name there. So I'll just give 10 more seconds because we have crossed the timing of the session. I cannot relaunch the poll. I'm so sorry. Though, so yeah, I'll just quickly guide you. So if you've joined from a mobile, you should be able to see the poll in the options there. And if you've joined from your laptop or desktop, you should be able to see the poll basically in on the side. You can just click on the options there. It should basically be on in front of the screen. Folks who are asking about the recording, we do send the recording of the session over mail, and you should receive that within 24 to 48 hours over your mail, and also details about these programs as well. So, yeah. Please scan these codes, for whichever programs you have already shared interest for, and yeah, you can basically save them to download the syllabus. Also, check out the installment options as well, right? I think one of the questions you have gotten, if I can pay this with installment options EMI, so we do have that as well. There are different offers going on in each of the programs. So the poll is live right now, folks. I think you should be able to see the poll. A lot of people have already responded to the poll. Folks, okay, fine. Who is not able to see the poll right now? Let me do one thing. I'm just sharing an email ID of the chat because you have stayed till the end. I'm sharing an email ID which is webinars@simplelearn.net. Quickly go and just drop that you attended the session till the end, and please share the certificate with me. So you should receive that within 24 to 48 hours. So please save this email ID. Just quickly go and drop an email in case you are not able to see the poll, because most of the people have responded. But I definitely wouldn't want folks to miss out on this because you have stayed till the end. So yeah. Great, great. Thank you so much for the appreciation here. Thank you so much, folks. I'll be ending the poll now. And yeah, thank you so much once again, like for being an amazing audience, for coming up with the amazing questions here. So thank you so much. We will be ending the session now. And yeah, like see you in another session. And hopefully from the interest you have shared,